Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and it's truly an honor to be before you. Please like and share and let everyone know that we are on the air. We are streaming live on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel at True Blue Designs. Before we get started, I want to give everybody an update. On January 25th, we had on Regis Bell. He's an accountant, and he was talking about the 2023 tax season, the changes for 2023 tax season. During his episode, a transformer went out twice in my area. So that interview was kind of choppy. We had to edit the interview, and now you can see the full playback on our YouTube channel. So I just want to thank everybody who tuned in and hung in there with us during that interview. But it has been edited and it is live. He gave a lot of good information from the IRS. Miss Iris is what I call it. And so you would want to go back and review that interview, especially those who have not filed for their taxes for the 2023 year. So I just want to give you all that update and thank you. Tonight's guest describes herself as a colorful, Christ-loving queen who is the reigning Miss Georgia Global Continental. Tamara Braxton is on a mission to help people fall in love with the skin they are in so they can cultivate the confidence needed to live fierce, free, and fabulously fulfilled. Now, I invite you again to like and share and invite others to tune in and be inspired. Help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Miss Tamara Braxton. There you go. How are you?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing good. Thank you so much for saying yes, and then.
Thank you so much for having me. It is truly an honor to be here for sure.
Yes. I am so proud. I want to say I am so proud of you. I can't wait to talk about how you chose to be in that pageant and how your life has changed. But I saw you speak this weekend and you did such a phenomenal job inspiring the crowd to be their best selves. And it was really good. I just want to tell everybody that I'm sure at the end we will find out if people are interested in speaking engagements, how they can contact you.
Absolutely.
But I just want to say I'm just so proud of you.
It is an honor. Thank you so much. I have had so much fun traveling and speaking, and it's what I love to do for sure.
Well, your personality fits the position. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it does. So they picked the right person.
Yes.
Now, before we go forward, how's the family? I always ask that. How's the family?
The boys are good, eating us out of house and home. You know, Nasir is 13, Asa is 3. So there's a lot of energy happening in the house from sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
Jarvis is doing well, or Bo, everybody probably knows him as Bo. He's doing well, still working as a police officer, serving and protecting, and we are maintaining here at the Braxton house.
Well, good. I just wanted to make sure everybody was doing okay and tell them Miss Tina said hello.
I sure will.
So we're going to start off by allowing you to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm Tamara Braxton, the reigning Mrs. Georgia Global Continental 2023. I have been in pageantry for over 20 years now, and this is probably the most fun I've ever had. This is my first state title as a married woman, so I've been traveling, I've been dragging my boys along, traveling my husband along, just inspiring everyone to love the skin that they are in so they can be audaciously authentic, because for me, that has been my struggle ever since I was little. And there are tools and lessons that I've learned through that journey that I just feel it doesn't matter if you're 6 to 60, we all need to be inspired and learn how to love who we truly are, because that was who we were created to be. So I've been traveling, I've been working my platform, because that's what you do as a pageant queen. I don't think people realize that. Like when you get that crown and sash, that is just the beginning of a whole job. Like you go to a job interview, being a pageant queen is a job. And so my job is to speak and inspire and to promote the pageant. And that's what I've been doing since October. And I will be competing for the national title in June in Orlando.
Oh, wow. So that was state, and then
Yes.
you go
Mhm.
to national or regional?
National.
You go
Mhm.
to
I,
national.
yes, I go to national. So I won the state of Georgia title, and I'll
Okay.
be competing around for women around the country for the national Mrs. Global Continental title in June.
And when is that again?
That is the week of June 24th. So I'll be in Orlando a week, and we have prelims, we have finals. It's a whole lot of prep, and it's going to be amazing, but I'm a little nervous because it's my first national title or national competition since I was maybe 16. So here we go.
Wow. Well, June 26th is my birthday, so you got to come home with a win.
Yes, that is the plan for sure. Crown for Miss Tina. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. But listen, you just mentioned something that I didn't know, so you've got to go back. Tell us about, so this wasn't your first pageant, so tell us about your journey through pageantry.
So I started my journey in sixth grade, and
Wow.
I originally got started because I wanted something in common with my mom. My mom used to compete in pageants when she was younger. So same way as I learned how to play chess, to have something in common with my dad. And I have been working on this whole confidence building thing, and my mom just thought it would be a good idea to try.
Hmm.
And now it took me years to even win a city title, but afterwards, every time I competed, I learned a little bit more about who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world. And so I have been Miss Black Florida USA. I've been Miss DeKalb County, Mrs. DeKalb County. I have been Mrs. Tampa. I have been Mrs. Earth Georgia, and I've been Mrs. Florida, Miss Florida American Co-ed. So I have about 6 or 7 titles and a couple of city titles up under my belt over these last several decades. But it's truly a very interesting way to learn about who you are, because when you sit in front of a judge, they
Hmm.
don't know who you are except what's on the paper. And you only have 2 to 3 minutes for them to know all that you want to know. So you have to know yourself before you can speak to others, especially in that quick of time. So every time I competed, I just learned a little bit more and a little bit more, and until I was able to really cultivate my story.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned Florida. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you're originally from, and how did you get to Georgia?
Well, long story short, I always tell people the long part is I'm a nomad because I'm a military brat. But I claim Fort Pierce, Florida, because that's where I went for middle school and high school.
Okay.
But I went to Tampa for undergrad and grad school, and I ended up in Georgia because I was bored and single and had nothing to do, and I was like, I should probably move somewhere. Had never been to Georgia ever, never been to Atlanta, but I was like, I'm going to live in Atlanta. And it was interesting because I know now, I didn't know then, but I know now that it was nothing but the Holy Spirit, because my sister and I came to apartment hunt. Again, like I said, it was my first time in Atlanta, and I met my now husband that weekend. So, I mean, 7 years later, we got married, but still, I met him that weekend. So, just being inspired to move and get up and go.
Yeah.
And here we are, 2 babies later.
Well, I can understand about being the military brat because I am one also.
My
Wow.
dad was in the Marine Corps. My mom was in the Army. Come from a long line of military, and so that's just all I know.
Wow. I'm enjoying this interview because that's one thing about these interviews. I learned so much about the people who I thought I knew.
I love it.
Okay, so I know that you are in the school system. So let's talk a little bit about your position in the school system.
So right now I am a seventh grade middle school teacher, and I teach ELA. So I don't know why I do these crazy things like teach middle school, but but I love the opportunity to connect with students. I used to teach third grade. I taught third grade for 10 years, and I am so glad that I have these little awesome seventh graders for 50 minutes and then they are on the way to the next period. But I've been in education. I have seen uh, girls and a number of different age groups just need this extra layer that we can't really offer in the classroom because we're too busy doing content. And so now that I'm able to go and speak, I kind of blend all the my teacher skills and also my empowerment skills, and I'm able to really make an impact.
Oh wow! And how long did you say you've been in the school system?
So I've taught a collection of 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
I went to undergrad. I got my undergrad in elementary education and then flipped around. I got my master's in reading education. And I did science middle school for a year. Then I did third grade, fourth grade. I started my whole career in an inner city school. So that's really the type of students that I am drawn to help and inspire because I know what that lifestyle looks like. And now I am in the city schools of Decatur teaching seventh grade.
Mm, okay. So, as an educator, can you um, talk just a little bit about what are some of the needs that are in the school system? Mainly parental needs, to help the children, to help because I think the teacher
Hmm.
is kind of like a bridge.
Right.
They're kind of like the parent away
Hmm.
from home. And I used to always say that my child is with the teacher more than they're really with me.
They truly are.
So, is there anything that you can speak to the viewers about of how we can kind of help? I know that's kind of general, but what are some of the needs that you're seeing, and how can we help?
Well, I think the main need that I'm seeing, especially for struggling students, is that follow through at home. I think that the student benefits when they see that their parents or their guardians and their teachers are on the same team, because oftentimes they try to play one against the other,
Mm-hmm.
and the student ends up losing in the end. And so it's important for parents to have open conversations with their students teach with their child's teacher, and then realize that the perspective, like you said, we're spending time with these students for hours and hours on end. So we can honestly say that we know them. We
Right.
know them outside of the household. And so respecting that position and honoring their perspective and their feedback of maybe it be behavior or academics, and then having an open mind to creating an action plan that's going to benefit the student. I
Right.
think a lot of times when parents hear that their child is either struggling academically or behavior wise, they take offense to it. So then they get on the defense as opposed to saying, okay, well, how can we bridge the gap and actually come up with a solution that's going to work so that my child can be successful, not just in school, but in life? So it's
Right.
that being open to a partnership as opposed to playing one against the other. And also being present. There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of parents that just check out, and me being able to teach from elementary school to middle school, I see the decline of parent involvement. Parents don't even know who their teachers are. They don't know what subjects they're taking. But in elementary school, they are so involved and they're there for PTA meetings and award ceremonies. And it's like when they get to sixth grade, it's just like, okay, in high school, Lord help us. Like if you get a parent on campus at all, it's like, whoa, who's this? Who's this stranger? So I just think that continuing being involved and being open to having a partnership with teachers is going to be really key and pivotal for the success of our future.
Yeah, because I know a lot of, like you said, it's almost like it's a daycare center to
Absolutely.
some parents, and I'm sure that you saw that when the pandemic hit and they had to shut down the schools, a lot of parents were very upset, not because of the safety of their children. We're just gonna, call a duck and a spade a spade. They were
Exactly.
upset because that time frame they now have
Hmm.
spend it all day with this child that they
Hmm.
created, and they
Absolutely.
don't want to do homework. They don't, their attention span is short, and so they were really really on the TV, on the news, and very upset. And I kept asking, what is really fueling
Hmm.
this? Is it
Absolutely.
the safety of the children? Because really, to me, if it was the safety of the children, you would be thankful that they closed it down, because it was popping off like popcorn,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Hmm.
you had all these people dying in record numbers.
Yeah.
So, you have to, that's one thing that I pride myself on, was to be in partnership
Mm-hmm.
with my children's teachers. And I was never the student. Let me tell you this right quick. I did that not my Johnny situation one time.
Mm-hmm.
So my son used a pencil, he got a D in a class,
Mm-hmm.
and he erased the D and put a C,
Mm.
right? And because I knew my child, I was able to handle that situation a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And I took his butt up to school the next day and made him apologize. But I didn't do the not my Johnny, because I knew my child, what
Mm-hmm.
he and she was capable of, you know. And so, like, you're right. You all spend more time with our children than we do. And when you try to tell, now, I know everybody's not an even playing field. You have
Right.
some teachers that
Right.
they
Right.
personally don't like the student, but we're talking about the teachers who really, really, really want to see your child flourish.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go in on the defense, because you have to realize that they're your babysitter
Really.
when you're at work.
Really, very much so. Very much so. When the pandemic hit and we got back virtual, I was teaching third grade, and I had to, like what you just said, I had some very upset parents because they felt that I wasn't keeping their child engaged long enough.
Right.
And
I heard that.
and
Yeah.
but even though, because especially with their age, we were only asked to keep them on like 10-minute bites. Like,
Hmm.
you're doing something for 10 minutes, now log off, like protect your eyes and all the things, do
Right.
some work, log back on. And they were very upset that we were not keeping them basically on the whole screen for the entire school day so that they could work.
But
And
their attention span is not that long.
absolutely not. And I listen, some of these emails with very colorful words and all the things and calling me all the stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. But like you
But
said, I think their anger was misplaced. They're
yeah,
just frustrated because
yeah,
they
that's
didn't
right.
realize that all the things the teacher was saying was true.
Right, right. You hit on a good point. Their anger was
Mhm.
misplaced, because you knew that it's something more fueling that
Absolutely.
anger than what is present. Okay, I'm gonna ask you one more question, then we get off this classroom stuff. How do you handle classroom management? And the reason why I'm asking is because lately on the news, we have seen story after story about classroom disturbance. I know you saw the story about the teacher who got her leg broke out here in Rockdale County. How do you handle that? And the reason I'm asking this is because maybe the viewers can see it from a professional, educator's point of view of what goes on in the classroom and how you are structured to handle things only a certain way.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think that it starts with the first day of school, setting those expectations. I am only 5'2", but I have a very strong presence, I've been told. And so half of the kids are scared of me, apparently. And I'm like, you
Okay.
know what? Maybe that's a good thing because what you're not going to do is try to run over me.
Right.
But I set the expectation of what I want them to do and the community that we're going to establish in the classroom
Mhm.
off rip. That's the first thing. I think a lot of these teachers start with trying to be their friends and trying to get close to them, and then when they have to become the disciplinarian, it's hard to switch. And it's
Mhm.
hard for the student, whether it be if they're angry, sad, whatever, to now make that distinction of, oh, I'm talking to an adult now, not my homegirl. And but for me, regardless of who you are in the building, I want you to know that I am an educator. And I also, when somebody tries to, go left or whatever, I said, I thought I was the only one in this room with a degree. Oh, okay, thought so. Just being able to set those boundaries, set those lines, but still offering that open space. Because I, even after the first week of school, and everybody's like, "Don't you go to Miss Braxton's class acting a fool? Like, you don't want the problems." And then they say their husband's a cop, so don't do it. And I do that on purpose as well. So the first day
Right.
of school,
Yeah.
I'll have collages of all my kids, and I'll have Nas running on the treadmill, and I'll have my cop husband and all this stuff. Like, listen, I'm protected by a whole bunch of men who don't want to mess with me, and also I can handle my own. So,
Oh my
but at,
goodness.
but at the first day of school, we have to, as educators, set those boundaries, and that's what the beginning of any relationship, honestly, because
Yeah.
there is a student teacher relationship that is established as soon as they walk through the door.
Mm,
And with any healthy relationship, you have to have boundaries and
yes.
you have to set expectations so that there's no guesswork.
Right.
And I think that a lot of these teachers are getting caught up in these situations, most of them, not all of them, because of course there's exception to the rule, but it's because they hadn't set those boundaries to begin with, and then they try to build a wall when the ants are already in the colony. That's not the way that things work. You have to establish it off top. So any first day of school teacher, first year teacher, and you try to be everybody's friend, it's like there's a balance to this thing, and it's
Mhm.
definitely knowing who you are, but also establishing yourself. I'm the authority in this room, and what we're not going to do is this.
Right. Right. But isn't that the same for raising children? Because
Absolutely.
I've found that when you set the expectation and you keep reminding them of the expectation,
Hmm.
the issues that you have, not saying you're not going to have any, but the issues that you have are only going to be to a certain degree
Right.
because the expectation was established. And if
Right.
you start that as a child,
Hmm.
and one thing that I had to learn to do, um, because growing up, it was no, but it was never no because. So I had to learn to say it, right now is no, but this is why,
Hmm.
right? Not that I'm discounting what you need, I'm just discrediting your feelings,
Right.
but this now because of this. And I think when I started taking that approach, my kids, A, we bonded a little bit stronger, and B,
Hmm.
they understood.
Right.
They became more heartfelt,
Hmm.
it's the empathetic,
Hmm. Right. Right. Right.
why the no was, but
Right.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
set boundaries.
and growing up and kind of in the same vein, and it's interesting you said that because I had the same conversation with my oldest son. He's 13, and so he's feeling himself. He's a star athlete, and so he's all the things. And sometimes he does things he shouldn't be doing. And but I remember when I used to get in trouble, it was the consequence, and that was it. There was no more talking about it. But
Hmm.
I told him, I literally was like, I want to offer, like, the consequence is still going to stand. So I was like, let's be clear on that. But
Hmm.
let's have a conversation now around what happened and the whys behind it. And like you said, I do believe that it starts to strengthen your relationship when you're able to say, this is the boundary. You already knew what was expected. You didn't do what was expected. So you're going to get that consequence that you already decided you wanted. But now let's have a conversation about it. And that's good teaching. And I think that, like I said, that goes back to just healthy relationships in
Hmm.
general. And that can go to even, a husband wife relationship. If they break up or whatever, like, you know what? This is what we said we were going to do. We didn't do it. And so, but let's still have a reconciliation, conversation around things. And that's just good interaction between humans, I really believe.
Yeah, I truly agree because I think that handling things that way helps the children with their conflict management
Hmm.
skills. Because I had told I'm gonna tell you this now, we're gonna move on. I told my daughter when I dropped her off in college, her first year,
Hmm.
before I left her, this is what I said. I said, I'll give you 1 week and you're going to be very thankful for the way me and your dad raised you. I give you 1 week. The only thing I ask you to do is call us both back and say thank you and that you appreciate us. She said, I don't, you'll get it 1 week. Before that week was over, she called us and she said, I get it and I thank you. Because there were people on the campus that came from different walks of life and different families, and they did not have critical thinking skills like
Hmm.
she did. And so I think, like you said, dialogue. I think that's what's wrong a lot with what's going on in the United States is because of communication, the lack of dialogue, not being able to sit down and talk about it. You want to shoot about it.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? And so it can be resolved. I don't know why I'm going in and out. We're gonna keep going. But sometimes it can be resolved if we just have if we can communicate about it, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think I have you frozen. Are you frozen? Am I
Okay,
frozen, by the way?
there you go. Okay, so we're gonna move to the next topic. Okay,
Okay.
so let's talk about the Miss Georgia Global Continental pageant.
Yeah.
What inspired you to choose that specific pageant?
Well, I met the director. I was competing in another Mrs. pageant, and she was the outgoing queen. And
Oh,
she was just her spirit and her openness and willingness to help, and just loving on the contestants and the way that things happen. And then once she crowned her successor, she started another pageant system, and I was like, there was an energy in the other pageant system that I felt that I was like, you know what, maybe there's another one. Because just like personalities, just like organizations, everybody doesn't fit everywhere. And
right.
for me, with that particular pageant system, I didn't. But then when Lucretia started her own, the Global Continental pageant system, I just fell in love with it. And I fell in
Mm,
love with everything she stood for and just the grandeur of the packages, the prize packages, and grandeur of the opportunities that she makes available, how open she is to pouring into her contestants. And it sets you up for an opportunity to be your best self, but then also be able to grow into who you are meant to be while you are serving. Whether you are serving as a city queen, whether you are serving as a national queen, a state queen, you can really take your reign and make it your own, which is what I have been doing pretty much since I've been crowned in October, traveling, creating my own platform, having the freedom to go all over the place with my crown and sash and do parades and do all of these other things, and being able to represent the pageant system like I am. And because, like I said before, being a pageant queen, you have signed up for a job. You have decided that you would love the opportunity to be a mentor. You are signing up to be a representative, a influencer, and then whatever your cause is, you are signing up to be an ambassador. So you really sign up for these mini jobs within this crown and sash. So just like there are as many twinkles that are on this crown, there's as many jobs and as many things that need to get done when you win it. And so that's just kind of where I've been, and why I chose to compete in the pageant system.
okay. And so tell us a little bit about your platform.
So my platform is called Crown and Confidence, and it is all about, well, it started as body confidence because I have suffered from bulimia, and I have tried to, because of my feelings of body unworthiness, I have attempted suicide in 2011, and just been depressed and discouraged and broken, and it was all because I didn't feel like I belonged, like physically did not feel like I belonged in this space called life. And it took me a long time, and my grandmama praying, and my mama praying, and my sister praying, and all these things for me to come out of that. But I
Mm,
had to come out of that for myself. I had to find things that I loved about who I was and how I looked, and cling to those things, and cultivate those things. But then it started to evolve, because you can't necessarily love your body unless you love your mind, and love unless you love your spirit, unless you love all of you. And so it kind of took on a life of its own. So it has like these little pockets that I call the crown approach, that I feel gives, it's like a key to, in my opinion, it's like a key to living abundantly. It's loving all of those pieces, going after those things that you want, being able to be introspective and growing, and allowing it to be uneasy sometimes, but also
mhm,
realizing that you're not alone. And so
right.
with Crown and Confidence, just going and speaking, inspiring, posting and sharing is really my goal, to create a community and to normalize this thing called personal development, especially
Mhm.
in the with women of color, and now even with boys of color. I had a conversation with my oldest, and we were talking about identity, and he was like, you know what, I think that even I struggle with that. And so now I'm like, okay, how can I include the boys? Like, I'm trying, trying to still pivot it. So it's not just women of color, it's people of
Right.
color. Let's
It's
make
people of
personal
yeah.
development a norm, and let's make speaking about the things that we need to grow, where we need to grow in. Let's make the idea that we're all not supposed to be super skinny and love our curves, and let's embrace all of those things, not in a form of cockiness, but in a form of empowerment. And let's do it for boys and let's do it for girls as well. And so now I'm kind of in like this incubator phase. Like I'm in the kitchen just kind of figure out what else I'm going to cook up, because I want to launch something that speaks to all people of color.
Mhm.
Um, my desire is to create this, to build this program out to a curriculum to give to school age children, so that the after school programs have a curriculum to really follow, as opposed to just either one winging it or being extended babysitters, or all they're trying to do is make sure the boys don't fight in the corner, and the girls aren't catty and they're not on their phones too long. And
Right.
so I really want to take this overall approach and create a curriculum that, whether you're a camp counselor or if you are a director of a club at a middle school, that you're able to follow step by step and provide these students with standard based, research based lessons that are fun and engaging, but it speaks to who they are as a child of color. So that's really where I'm going with this. And it just started as an idea because I was like, I like crowns, I like pink, I like, all these things. But now it has grown so much more. And it's really because being able to have conversations that I wasn't able to have conversation with my parents, about how I was feeling. And, I'm sure that they would be open to it, but there was never really a way to have to start the conversation. But now, because I am in education, if I'm going to talk to a boy in my class, I'm sure enough going to talk to my son at home. And
Right.
so being open to those conversations and learning his needs. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to shift this. I'm going to figure out how to include these children of color, because we have to be able to have these conversations, and we have to be able to not just say, girl, you fine, or or normalize obesity, but then normalize
Mhm.
being skinny and all of the things. And everybody's trying to nip, tuck, and suck and all other stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, let's just love who we truly are, and let's teach our children of color how to embrace who they are,
Hmm.
physically, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah.
So, long story short, that's where I'm at.
No, no, this is good because it's so needed. When you look on the news, it's almost like we're in an identity crisis because
Mhm.
society teaches you that you have to be a certain way, a certain size, talk a certain way to be perceived as a certain way,
Right,
right?
exactly,
And
exactly.
so even in the Black community,
Hmm.
it's being carved out that you have to look a certain way,
Hmm.
and you're right. There's so much power in loving the skin that you're in.
Yeah.
It really is. And you know, I remember the day that I can't remember. I'm over 55, so it takes me a minute to think about it. But I can't remember what happened prior to, but anyway, oh, I know it was. I end up seeing the movie about the hair. I think it was Chris Rock that did the good hair
Hmm.
movie.
Hmm.
That's what it was. I end up seeing that movie, and the next day I have a cousin that's a barber.
Hmm.
And the next day I called my cousin and I said, do you have an opening? He said, yes. I came, sat in his chair. And he said, what we doing today? And I said, cut it off. And he said, excuse me? And I said, cut it off. And he said, how low? I said, low, not bald, but I want it very low.
Hmm.
And he said, are you sure? And I said, yes. He said, now, if I do this, you got to wear it. And what did that mean? And then so he told me, he said, you
Hmm.
ready? I said, yeah. So he cuts it. He's getting ready to walk me to my car. And it started to rain. He
Hmm.
gets to my car. I'm not behind him. I'm standing out in the rain with my head back like this. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, give me a minute because I'm free.
Hmm.
And we don't, not until I saw that movie did I understand the bondage that I had put myself in,
Hmm.
trying to look a certain way or be a certain way and thinking, society, this is okay with society, so I have to do this and I have to keep this up and I have to go appearance,
Mm-hmm.
and haven't gone back.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's just so my daughter has natural curly hair, so it curls. She
Mm-hmm.
can get it what you call that thing when you press it out.
Mm-hmm. Like a silk press, like
Yeah,
silk.
yeah. Silk. She can get a silk press. It's natural curling. She can get that. And it's just very versatile.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, I said, don't cut it.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to manage it. Don't cut it. Because people are paying $80 a bundle for
Exactly.
what you have.
Exactly.
And what they get is not versatile. It's
Mm-hmm.
your hair. So don't cut. And like you said, I've tried to preach to her.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay. You're okay the way you are. If you don't like it, you can change it,
Mm-hmm.
but don't let what others perceive that is right,
Mm-hmm.
don't let them put that on you. So I
Right.
think that is so important that you're in the school system and able to, be able to speak to our children who is our tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the news, identity crisis is one of the things that we see.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of these, so I'm really big on, and you heard me when I was speaking on Saturday, really big on acronyms. And so that O and the crown approach is just owning your definition of beauty. So a lot of people will say, oh, you're bald head or you cut your hair. And then a lot of people say, oh, well, you have long hair, you have weave. And so there's so many different mixed messages that are coming to us at a daily basis that
Yeah.
we truly have to own what we believe to be
Mhm.
beautiful, what we believe to be stepping in our power. And I remember the day I cut my hair when he's my now husband. Bo was sleeping. He was my boyfriend at the time, and my best friend, he was a barber. He came to the house. So Bo was sleeping over. He was sleeping over because he worked overnight.
Mhm.
So another daytime, and I'm sitting in the kitchen just getting it cut. And he comes out of the room and he's like, "I'm not doing this with you." And turns right back around and goes in the room. And so I finished, we finished up and everything. And I took a picture and I posted on Facebook. And I didn't tell my mom I was doing it or anything. And I don't know, maybe she was scrolling for like she's never on Facebook. And then all of a sudden, this one time, almost 11 years ago now, she was on Facebook and she looked and she was like, she called me immediately. She was like, "What did you do? You look like your brother." I had to promise her I would never leave the house without earrings. And like you said, I had to promise her I would wear it. Like I promised. I was like, I promise I will wear this. Because I had gotten it short, I was permanent, and I was just like, I'm paying you $65 a perm about this much of hair. And I was just over it. And I kept
Yeah.
talking about it. And my friend was Barbie, he was like, okay, are we gonna do this or not? Because either do it or stop talking about it. Like one of the two. So I was like, just come to the house and just hold on, don't let me go, and just get it done.
Did
And
you feel did you feel free?
I would never go back.
Did you feel free?
I did. I was like, look at me. But then it was funny because there's always this growth process, and I think maybe it took me like a couple months later. Well, you look in the mirror, you just see you, but I actually saw me one time, and I was
Mhm.
like, I have no hair. Like really, I'm looking in the mirror, I was like, I have no hair. And so I really want to give people the tools to not just look at yourself, but see yourself and love what you see.
Yeah.
And regardless of what other people say, to own that and to step in it and to strut it and to be like, this is me, not in a space of cockiness, but just a confidence in I
Yeah.
am fearfully and wonderfully made. And
Yeah.
so are you. And
Yeah.
you're welcome. Like, let's just get to that space.
Right. Yeah. When I went to a conference last month, and before I left, I went to go see my cousin who's a barber. And he was like, "What we doing?" And I said, "Make it low all around and shape me up." So he said, "Okay." So I go to the conference, and I was really amazed because so many men came up to me and was like, "I love your hair.
Mhm.
You are wearing it. Oh, I love that." Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I was like, really? And he was like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you have the face for it. And they would just, it was like they would strike up a conversation. And I don't know if you saw a recent post that I had on the wave cap. So I had this idea of trying to trying to get waves because I like
Mm-hmm.
there's some people I know that have their women at short haircuts and they have wave and it
Mm-hmm.
looks really nice. So I said, okay. I went on this thing and said, okay, I'm gonna try to do the wave thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tamara, that brushing all the time
Oh my God.
and the tightness of the wave cap, and I'm over 55. It didn't. I think I posted that picture on Saturday or Sunday, and the day
Mhm.
is done.
Yes. Mm,
Done. No more of
listen,
that.
I
I'm
am
just
with
gonna keep
you.
it low and curly.
I am with you. Listen, I tried that, but then I realized that my hair grows back so fast. I kept having to go get my hair cut
Yeah,
sooner than I wanted to. I'm like, listen, nope, we gonna
yeah,
get this cut low. So then, like 4 weeks can go by before I need a haircut. Because it's
right.
like, it's too much work. It's too much work.
But you know what? Let's talk a little bit about there's freedom
Hmm.
in loving the skin that you're in because
Absolutely,
you're not trying to appease other people. It's
absolutely.
all about you loving you, you
Hmm.
deciding what's right for you deciding what looks good for you. And that's the only person that you're answering to. So let's talk a little bit about that. Because I really, it's freedom in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's it's freedom and there's power in
Power.
that.
Yes, yeah.
There's so much power in that. I have noticed the difference even in my relationships when I'm feeling unsure or down of even how I look or what's going on with me and how that necessarily taints my relationships. But when
Mhm.
I'm stepping in my power, I'm owning like all of my decisions, I'm owning my look, I'm doing things, then it brightens my even strangers will see it. You know, they will see that light that shines.
Mhm.
And there's so much power and so much positivity when you just are sure of who you are. And it's not an absence of fear. So
Right.
I don't want listeners to think that it is. It's not an absence of fear. It's just you choose the power instead of the fear. And it's a choice you have to make moment by moment by moment by moment. It's
Mhm.
not something that gets easy. It's just shifts a little bit. You
Right.
automatically know, like, you know what? I'm stepping out of this room and I'm gonna own it. And I'm stepping out, out of this beauty supply store or whatever, and I'm gonna own it. Whether I got 80 inches or 8 inches or negative 8 inches, I'm gonna own it because that's how I perceive beauty. That's
Right.
how I have owned my definition. And the more and more people who walk in their power, the more permission we give others to do the same. And
Mhm.
then it eliminates so much cattiness. And because if I'm worried about me and how fine I look, I don't got time to be talking about how busted you look because I'm still trying to keep up mine. So if we are all just worried about ourselves, then it's really what Paul says. Like you worried about the speck in their eye, well, you got a plank in yours. Like let's just worry about who and what we are becoming and
Mhm.
establish that and be okay with that and let everybody else do the same.
Right.
But it's unfortunate because we speak about doing it, but nobody's teaching our young people or even our older people how to do it. And
Right.
that's where my platform comes in. I want to give like simple and sustainable tools on the how to do this stepping into power, the how to do this loving the skin you're in. Because a lot of times we give our own self lip service. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
I love me, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm whatever. But do we truly believe that in our souls? Are we walking in that or are we just talking it? And it's because we don't have the tools on how to do it. We don't know how the tools on if I have a good day or if I have a bad day, how to switch it to a good day and how to maintain that good day. We don't have those tools in our pockets because it's not something that's taught. It's not something that's taught in schools. And, we expect to learn it from our parents or our grandparents. And they just like, girl, just get over it, bring it to God, take the Lord in prayer, and everything be all right. And that's not the way things work. We have to have these skills. And it's
Mhm.
unfortunate that with children of color don't have access to these skills like our other counterparts
Right.
because we as a community don't find any value in it. We
Mm.
don't find any value in inspiring and empowering and giving practical applicational tools to our young people. What do we want them to do? We want them to sit down, shut up, stop eating all our food, go to bed, go to
Mm.
school, where we're constantly telling them all these things to do. And then we wonder why they don't like themselves. We wonder why they're always starting stuff with the girls in, next door, because they don't like who they are and they don't know how to fix it. And so we have to be able to say, listen, there is so much power when you own who you are, when you love your name, when you love your body, when you love your hair. But then you also have tools that when you're not feeling so sure on how to flip it. And that there is power in the know how as well.
Okay, so you set up the next thing I was going to ask you. Let's give the viewers. First of all, I'm going to ask the viewers chime in. Put your comments put some comments down there and let us know what do you do to love the skin you're in? How do you love the skin that you're in? What are some things that you do to encourage yourself? And how do you work on your beauty? So put some things in comments, because when people go back to view the show, they're going to see your comments, so you'll
Absolutely.
be able to inspire others that view the comments. But let's talk a little bit about, because this is good, so let's talk a little bit about just just a couple of tips. We're not going to
Mhm.
give everything, because we want people to schedule you to come and talk to
Absolutely.
yes, right. But I'm gonna let you talk about that CROWN, because that was
Yeah.
powerful this weekend. So anyway, but right now, so let's talk about give the viewers some tips
Mhm.
on how they can love the skin they're in, or start to, if they're struggling with that. What can they do?
Well, my favorite practice, and we were speaking about this beautiful, awesome lady before we even went live, is Lisa Nichols. And so
Yeah.
I cannot like take credit for this amazing practice I'm getting ready to share, but it is super powerful. And when I did a training with her, she taught it. And what it is, it goes back to what I said, not just looking at yourself in the mirror, but truly seeing yourself. So it's called mirror work, right? And it can take 3 minutes of your time in the morning. So if you're like, okay, I need somewhere to start, it starts with you looking at you. Let your eyeballs see your eyeballs, and then you speak life into yourself. But it's kind of structured. So, first of all, you look at yourself and you just forgive.
Mm.
So, you say
I
your
remember
name.
that with her. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I think she went live on it. So that's why I said I cannot
Ooh,
take credit, but it
yeah.
is so powerful. So you say your name. So you say, Tamara, I forgive you for. And
Mm.
you look at yourself when you're saying it, because we don't realize how much baggage we are carrying from our past that is that's distorting how we see ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we forgive ourselves first. So you say your name, you're looking in the mirror, you say, Tamara, I forgive you for, and then whatever flows. I'd like to set my timer for all three. So like I'll do it like a minute or 30 seconds, whatever your schedule. It doesn't take a lot. It takes
Mm-hmm.
consistency, but it take a lot. And then after you say, what are you forgive yourself for? Then you say, I am proud of you for, because we don't celebrate ourselves enough.
That
So
is
you
so.
say, Tamara, I am so proud of you for getting up this morning and doing this mirror work. It could be as simple as that. And like I said, I like to set my timer for each one of them. So when the timer goes off, I flip to the next one. And
Okay.
then finally, you say again, you say your name, Tamara, I commit to you that. So you're making a promise to yourself, whatever flows, and let whatever flows out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's in the heart is going to come out, and
Yeah.
whatever needs to come out is going to come out. So you don't try to schedule it, try to say, well, let me say this, let me say that. Just open your mouth and speak life to you. Because I think the power behind it is twofold. You start to see yourself how you see yourself, right? You start to see like, oh, I really am holding on to this, or I really am, I really did do something amazing to be proud of. But then also you speak life to yourself. Far too often we are looking for others to see us. We are looking to others to speak life into us. And if it doesn't come from the outside, then we feel worthless. So
Yeah.
when you start doing these things like mirror work, then all of a sudden you're doing the things that you are looking outside of yourself for, and you're full. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't need anybody to pour into me because I'm already filled up. Because
Yeah.
I don't get it. So it starts there, and it starts taking time out of
Mm.
the schedule, out of pouring into everybody else, to start pouring into ourselves. And I think the mirror work is the perfect, simplest place to start.
Yeah, well, we had some comments when you started talking. So let's see. We have Janine Cruz. She said positive self-talk, look in the mirror and
Mhm.
tell yourself how amazing she is.
Yes, absolutely.
She also said give yourself grace. That is a huge one. And she is so right. I
Mhm.
forgive, Tina, I forgive you for, I
Mhm.
forgive myself for.
Right.
Bernice said, place affirmations on the mirror to say aloud to yourself, such as I am beautiful, I am strong, I am bold.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for your comments. Yep, that giving yourself grace and those three things. I saw that live that she did
Mhm.
with those three things, and I boo-hooed.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that was freeing for me
Right.
because I needed to release. And she kept saying, it's okay.
Mhm.
I've also taught my children that don't wait for me to praise you. You need to be proud of yourself.
Mhm.
So I raised them that way because they'll say, Mama, are you proud of me? I say, yeah, I'm proud of you, but shoot, are you proud of yourself? You the one who did it. And they'll say, yes, I'm proud of myself. And I started that when they were kids for that
Mhm.
reason. So they're not looking for that praise exterior.
Absolutely.
All the time, you got to really understand it's about me. It's a me thing,
Mhm.
and if you don't praise yourself and then you don't get it exterior, that's when that seed me and you start talking about before we start talking about before the show gets to
Mhm.
growing,
Yep.
right, in
Absolutely.
negative ways. So yeah, that is so good. You have to forgive yourself, positive
Mhm.
affirmations, and just the mirror talk.
Yeah.
The mirror talk. Okay, we're going to talk about the CROWN now. We're going to give us just a little bit of it. I
Give me a
got
little.
the full effect this weekend. If you all don't get the full effect, you're going to get a little bit.
Okay. Absolutely. And like I said, I'm building this out. So I'm just going to give you guys what CROWN stands for. It is an
Okay.
acronym. I am super simple. I like acronyms because it makes me remember things.
Yeah.
So our C, and this is a CROWN approach to a empowered and authentic life. And the C is first you're going to commit to the process. So personal growth is the process, right?
Right.
And then our O, you're going to own your definition. Wait, I'm not spelling crown right. I can't spell.
R.
I got too excited. I wanted to get to the O part. Oh Lord. Okay. The
Look,
R.
no, let me go get my notes because they right over there.
I know, right? Okay, so let me backtrack. Okay, so our C, our C is you're going to commit to the process. Our R is you are going to recognize who or what has influenced you. Okay,
Okay.
because sometimes we're carrying around stuff that don't even belong to us. Okay,
Mhm.
then we're going to own our own definition of beauty and power. W, we're going to work on our wellness. And N, we're going to nurture our inner relationship. All of those put together, that is the CROWN approach to empowered living. And I would love to do a workshop for you and all your friends and my girlfriends and boyfriends and all things. So,
On the bottom of the screen is your email and your Facebook and your IG. If someone wants to get in contact with you to bring you in to speak
mhm,
on living in the skin you're in or the crown approach, what is
mhm.
the best way for them to get in contact with you?
All of those, you can shoot me a
Okay.
DM on Instagram or Facebook. You can shoot me an email. I try to be very responsive. Like I said, just having this year as a Georgia Queen, I am making the most of it, and so I am ready to come and share. I am booked in March, so all my Saturdays are booked in March. So hit me up now for April and May, and so I would love to travel and be able to speak and inspire. And each one of these, like I said, I've been building it out. Each one of these topics has their own little lesson to it. So if it's just you just need 5 minute quickies on all of them, then I certainly can do that as well. So I would love to be able to, even if it's a virtual live, I travel. I have some amazing sponsors and even sorority sisters of Zeta Phi Beta who have been pouring into this, allowing me to have the funds to travel. And I'm just so very thankful. So online or offline, I am just welcome the opportunity to share.
Okay. And if anyone is over any youth groups, um, daycare centers, after school programs. I want to put that out there because we talked a
Yes,
little bit about that in the
absolutely,
beginning of the show.
absolutely.
That,
I
you know,
am willing to speak from now, boys and girls from 6 to 60. It does not matter. Just let me know the dates. Let me know how many students or how many participants, and I am there. It's very easy to craft this talk depending on whom I'm speaking to, just because I think, well, I know because God has given me so many different experiences from elementary school all the way to speaking in front of massive chapters. And so I'm just here to serve.
right. Yeah. Um, it was one more thing. Look, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I be like that sometimes. It be like that.
I was flowing. Oh, okay. So before we end the show, is there any last minute things you want to leave or last bits of information that you want to leave with the viewers?
I just want to say to everyone watching, whether you're watching now or later, or you circle back and watch this again, at the end of the day, your quality of life, it's in your hands and nobody else's. You can take control of it. You can straighten your crown yourself and you can walk in your power because it's already in you. And
Mhm.
so I want you to figure out a way that fits your vibe of how to bring that to the forefront every single day. Because at the end of the day, you don't need anybody. And at the end of the day, you're only going to have yourself.
Right, right. Um, one more thing, meditation. I remember I saw something that you were doing. I think it was midday
Mm-hmm.
meditation. Talk
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about the importance of meditating. This is important. We're gonna make sure we get this in before we end. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of meditation.
Absolutely. So I think that it's very important to ground yourself and to settle in. There are so many things that are pouring into us, and we haven't given ourselves time to process through them. So whether meditation is listening to some type of music or guided meditation or just stopping and taking some breaths, we
Mhm.
have to give ourselves permission to pause because
Mhm.
we weren't created to get all of this dumped onto us and then expect to make amazing life decisions after it. So whether it be 2 minutes, 2 seconds, or you're getting up 5 minutes before you get started with your day, before the kids start acting crazy, make time for yourself. You are deserving of that time, that quiet time, that still quiet time. That's when I truly believe, like the Bible says, that's that when you hear that still small voice, you have to be still in order to hear it. And a lot of times we want others to spend time with us. We have to first spend time with ourselves. So let's do that first, regardless of what that looks like.
Tamara, I've really enjoyed this interview. I really have. I've learned so much about you and your platform. So I'll know how to refer.
Absolutely. Thank you. I am so
People
honored
to
and thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast.
look. I feel so honored because I've had you. Well, I was gonna say 2 times in 1 week, but it was really 2 weeks. One time in 2 weeks. So, but both times I really enjoyed. Listen, I got a chance to hear Tamara speak this weekend. I think she did like a 15-20 minute speak to a crowd of over 60 people. And she had the room engaged and she got a standing ovation at the end. That's how well she did. And everybody took something for themselves, took something away from the information that she shared. And, we were all able to, you know, just woo saw. And I just really appreciate. I wrote so many notes. That's why I told you if you had spelled crown wrong.
If I learned how to spell my own acronym, maybe there'd be.
But I just want to say again, I am so proud of you. I
Thank
really am. And if
you.
there's anything that I can do to help your vision, just please let me know. And I thank the viewers. I thank all of you for tuning in tonight and being engaged in the conversation. I thank you for the
Absolutely.
comments. I thank you for the likes. I see some hearts and thumbs up. I really appreciate it. True Blue Designs Presents was created to give just ordinary people a platform to talk about who they are, what they do, and give the inside perspective of what they know. So if any of you out there know someone who would like to share their story, please go to our website, click on the contact us page or tab, and send us an email. Contact us and let us know you want to be on the show and share your story. And I really appreciate you doing that. And I'm going to tell you this, Tamara, the power of this platform is that there's only two types of people in the world, those that know you and those that know of you. And I thank you for coming on our platform because you gave those that know of you a little bit deeper look into who you are. So I really appreciate that. I really do. Everybody, signing off for this particular episode. Oh, one more announcement. March is our anniversary month. We turn 14 years this March. Now, does anybody know what normally happens in March on our shows? Come on now, you got to know. Comedians. We have comedians lined up every Wednesday in the month of March. Now, after March, we're going every other week, but the month of March is a celebration, it's a party. Stop in, tell us congratulations and hello. Come party with us. Do not miss a Wednesday with us at 7 o'clock in the month of March. Come celebrate with us. We have all the comedians lined up, and I promise you, you're going to get a laugh. I'm Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and I thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next Wednesday. We're going to part. No, not next Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays. It starts on March the 8th. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, and we're going to party our anniversary party. So come party with us. See you later. You stay on. Don't go nowhere.
I will.
Good night, everybody.
Right.